In this video, let us now see about phylum Coelenterata. General characteristics of phylum Coelenterata. The name Coelenterata means hollow cavity. The organisms is of habitat aquatic, marine or freshwater. Example, Hydra. The organisms are either sedentary or free-swimming. They are solitary or colonial. They express the symmetry of radial or biradial. Their body wall is diploblastic or triploblastic. They lack body cavity, hence they are acoelomate. The organisms generally express cell tissue grade organizations. Most of the organisms under the phylum has nematocysts, which means stinging cells in their tentacles. They are used to capture and digest food particles coming through the water current. Some species of phylum Coelenterata are notable for polymorphism. Two types of individuals occur in a colony, namely polyps and free-swimming medusae. Their digestion is intracellular and extracellular. The nervous system is very primitive and they reproduce both sexual and asexually. Asexual reproduction is by budding and sexual reproduction is through the gametes. The larval stage consists of ciliated planula larvae. They exhibit alteration of generation or metagenesis. Classification of phylum Coelenterata. The phylum Coelenterata is further classified into class Hydrozoa, Scyphozoa and Anthozoa. The class Hydrozoa contains 5 orders. They are Hydroidea, Melipornia, Stylastrine, Trachylina and Siphonophora. Class Scyphozoa contains orders Stauromedusae, Cubomedusae, Coronate, Discomedusae, Rhizostomae. The class Anthozoa is subdivided into subclasses Alcynoria and Zoantharia. The orders under the subclass Alcynoria are Stolonifera, Telestacia, Alcynacea, Cenothecalia, Gorgonacea, Penatulacea. The orders under the subclass Zoantharia are Actiniaria, Madriapurania, Zoanthidia, Antipatheria and Seriantharia. Class Hydrozoa. The characteristics of class Hydrozoa are the organisms are either freshwater or marine. They are solitary or colonial, sessile or free-living. They have a radial symmetry which are either tetramerous or polymerous. Example for class Hydrozoa are Hydra, Obelia and Physalia. Class 2 Scyphozoa. The organisms are exclusively marine and solitary forms. Medusa stage is dominant and polyp stage is reduced or absent. The gastrovascular cavity with gastric pouches and endodermal gastric filaments are present. No stomodium is seen in the organisms of class Scyphozoa. Mesoglia are extensive, gelatinous with fibers and cells. The examples are Aurelia and Cyania. Class Anthozoa. The organisms of class Anthozoa are exclusively marine. They are solitary or colonial. All the organisms in their life cycle are only polyps and there is no stage of Medusa. Gastrovascular cavity is subdivided by 8 septa or mesenteries. The mesenteries are with nematocysts and gastrodermal gonads. Type study Obelia geniculata. The systematic position of Obelia geniculata are phylum Coelenterata, class Hydrozoa, order Hydroidea, suborder Leptomedusae, genus Obelia and species Obelia geniculata. In common terms, Obelia is referred as sea fur. Obelia are generally marine, colonial hydrozoan. Habit and habitat. Obelia geniculata is sedentary, marine, and colonial. They are cosmopolitan in distribution. They exhibit radial symmetry and diploblastic in nature. Obelia Colony. The Obelia is trimorphic colony. They consist of three morphologically distinct zooids. They are polyps, which are nutritive zooids, Gananzium or the budding zooids, and Medusae or sexual zooids. The colony is either monomorphic when it has only the polyp stage. It is called dimorphic when it has both polyp and blastostyle. As a whole, Obelia colony is a trimorphic colony when it has polyp, blastostyle, and Medusae. Polyp or hydrant. Polyp is a nutritive zooid. These are present on the terminal ends of the lateral branch. They are cylindrical and are attached to the substratum. They are carnivorous, depending upon crustaceans, nematodes, and other marine worms. They have tentacles which are used for catching and conveying the prey, and it also acts as an aid of protection. The digestion is extracellular and intracellular. The proximal end of polyp is known as hydrocalus and distal end is known as hypostome. They have a gastrovascular cavity, hence the name coelenteron. The polyp has about 30 tentacles. They have diploblastic body wall which is divided as ectoderm and endoderm. A hydrotheca, a funnel-shaped structure, provides support to the polyp. An internode called shelf is present to support the hydrotheca. Perisarcal annuli are flexible rings which allows swaying movements due to water current. Gananzium or blastostyle. When hydrocalus reach its matured state, it expresses a complete development into a stage called the Gananzium, where the Gananzium is club-shaped cylindrical in form. They are covered by outer covering called as the transparent gonatheca, and they also have lateral buds which are medusae or gonophores. The Gananzium consists of three parts. They are gonatheca, blastostyle, and gonophores. Blastostyle. Blastostyle is the cylindrical structure. The blastostyle lacks mouth and tentacle. They develop from axis of polyp. Gonotheca. They are sac-like structure from perisarc. Gonophore. In fully developed gonozooid, the opening developed in the terminal is called as the gonopore. Histology of colony Obelia. Body wall is diploblastic. It consists of two layers of cell, ectoderm and endoderm. Ectoderm is called as the outer layer which has single row of cells. Endoderm is the inner layer. The ectoderm and endoderm are connected by mesoglia. The ectoderm consists of epitheliomuscle cells, gland cells, nerve cells, sensory cells, interstitial cells, and cnidoblast. Endoderm consists of endothelial cells, gland cells, nerve cells, sensory cells, and interstitial cells. Cnidoblasts or nematocysts. Cnidoblast or nematocyst are oval, specialized cell in cnidarians. They are stinging cells and can immobilize prey. They are developed from interstitial cells. These are organ of offense and defense. They are found in tentacles. Structure of cnidoblast. The cnidoblast consists of nematocyst, nucleus, hypnotoxin, thread tube, bud, barbules, operculum, and nidocell. These structures coordinate together and helps in offense and defense mechanism for the organism. Functioning of nidoblast. The nidocell is stimulated from the external stimulus. Following that, it stimulates the operculum, which opens the thread tube to shoot out. The tip of the thread penetrates into the enemy and inject hypnotoxins. The muscular system. The muscular system is well developed when compared to other lower organisms. They have the bell margin and the subumbellar surface fully consist of muscles which helps in their locomotion. Sensory organs. The sensory cells are sensitive to light. They are ocelli and statocysts. Asexual reproduction. When the water temperature exceeds 20 degrees Celsius, the buds from the colony breaks and form new colony. These buds settle down into the substratum and where the stolon develops, forming a new colony of Obelia, which is asexually produced. Sexual reproduction of Medusa. Medusa is termed as the sexual zooid of Obelia geniculata. They measure about 7 mm in diameter and they have radial symmetry. They consume carnivorous food, hence their mode of nutrition is carnivorous. The digestion takes place both intracellularly and extracellularly. They have 2 layers of cell wall, hence diploblastic. The medusa are formed from blastostyle by budding. The matured medusa detach and escape through gonopore. The sexes are separate. Each medusa contains 4 gonads. Structure of medusa. The medusa has convex and concave side. The convex side is called as the ex-umbrella and concave side is called as the subumbrella. It also consists of manubrium, mouth, gullet, stomach, radial cavity, circular cavity and has numerous tentacles and velum. Statocyst. Statocysts are 8 in numbers. They are located at the base of each radial tentacle. They have a fluid-filled sac. Statocyst consists of lithocyte and statolith. Lithocyte consists of the statolith. Statolith is a calcareous particle that maintains equilibrium and muscular coordination. The statolith and lithocyte combinedly processes fine sensory stimuli. Development of Obelia. Life history of Obelia geniculata. Obelia includes both sexual and asexual generations, which regularly alternate with each other to complete a life cycle. There are separate male and female medusae producing sperms and ova respectively. In Obelia, life cycle includes 2 clearly defined phases, a fixed polypoid phase, hydroid colony, and a pelagic medusoid phase. Hydroid colony has no gonads and reproduces by asexual budding to give rise to medusae. On the other hand, medusae reproduces exclusively by sexual method to give rise to new hydroid colonies. This fact apparently seems to have given rise to the idea of alteration of generation, which is also called as metagenesis. In coelentrates in which an asexual polypoid generation appears to alternate regularly with a sexual medusoid generation. But in Obelia, medusoid phase does not represent a true haploid sexual generation because Medusa arises from blastostyle by a process of asexual budding. Sex cells do not originate in Medusa but in the epidermis of the blastostyle, from where they migrate into gonads of Medusa. These facts show that Medusa does not represent a sexual generation. It is simply a free-swimming diploid zooid, specialized for dispersal of gametes of the sedentary hydroid colony. At times, it is very difficult to differentiate between sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction in Obelia. In this flowchart, let us see about life cycle of Obelia geniculata. In an asexual stage of a sessile colony, the hydranth spread through budding. From the bud, there arises a blastostyle from which a free-swimming medusa are released in the water. The medusa contains gonads which may have male and female gametes. The male and the female gametes are determined by the parent plant. The male gametes are sperm and female gametes are egg. The sperm and the egg fuse together to form zygote. The zygote then forms blastula. Later, it develops into free-swimming ciliated planular larvae. This larvae, when come in contact with the substratum, forms hydrula budding, from which another blastostyle arises, also from which another medusa escapes. By this, the whole organism forms a colony which will exhibit both sexual and asexual stages while alteration of generation. Alterations of generation. Single colony exhibiting two kinds of zooids of varied functions are called as the alteration of generation, where a sexual reproduction takes place after an asexual reproduction, followed by a sexual reproduction again. Medusae are sexually reproducing zooids. Hence, the Obelia is called as a polyploid colony. Polymorphism. A single organism has two or more varied forms and which also has varied function. In Obelia, the colony has 3 forms of zooids. Difference between polyp and medusa. Polyp are sessile and fixed. Medusa are free-swimming. Polyps are cylindrical in shape, whereas medusa is umbrella-shaped. Polyp has 24 tentacles. Medusa has 16 tentacles. Polyps are simple. Medusa are complex. They have simple muscular and nervous system in polyp. Medusas have developed muscular and nervous system. The velum is absent in polyp. Velum is present around the margin in medusa. Polyps are devoid of radial and circular canals. Medusa has 4 radial and 1 circular canal. Polyp has a circular mouth, whereas medusa has a rectangular mouth. Polyp is the nutritive zooid. Medusa are sexual zooids. In polyp, asexual reproduction takes place by budding. Medusa is meant for sexual reproduction. In polyp, mesoglia is very poorly developed. In medusa, mesoglia is very well developed. Corals and coral reefs. Corals belongs to the class Anthozoa and Hydrozoa. They are made up of limestone or calcium carbonates. These corals are grown in shallow water near shore, by which coral reefs are formed. The coral reefs have a lot of economic importance for the world. Few functions of coral reefs are: they helps in maintaining biodiversity of ocean. They give a lot of shelter for fishes. Hence, coral reefs are ideal place to identify any fish. They act as tourist attraction underwater. They also provide protection to the coastal surfaces by avoiding many tsunamis. Types of coral reef. Type 1. Fringing reefs. These are present in the shores of an island or a continent. This is widely seen in East Indies. They have irregular channels. The second type is barrier reef, which are navigatable channels. Examples for barrier reef are Great Barrier Reef in Australia. Atoll reef. These are coral island or lagoon island. They are horseshoe-shaped reef. They are present in Aldabra in Indian Ocean. IUCN status of corals. IUCN means International Union for Conservation of Nature. IUCN aims in encouraging conservation over the globe. IUCN developed a red list which lists the status of organism in the present state. The corals are listed under endangered status in the red list, which means their livelihood is threatened and they might become extinct in near future. So it becomes a primary duty for everyone to conserve nature.